when Christ talked about the 12. He says, have not I chosen you?
So, yeah, in the scriptures that you're given, um, in accordance with, Jesus choosing these individuals, Jesus chose these individuals, and he even mentioned that, chose not all. He's talking about a specific reason here. He's not talking about just choosing some people for Christianity and choosing some people or not choosing some people to be Christians. He's talking about he's having conversation with the 12 apostles. He's having conversation with Paul, who becomes an apostle in place of Stephen. Okay, so he chose them to be apostles. He chose them for a specific reason, okay, within Christianity, not whether or not they could be a Christian. Um, you know, God is not a respecter of persons. If God chose me to be a Christian and chose, uh, John Doe over here to go to hell, then he would indeed be a respecter of persons. He would have respected me more than he did John Doe. He doesn't do that. He's not a respecter of persons. We're told this in Deuteronomy 10, 2 Chronicles 19, Proverbs 24, and chapter 28 as well. Romans 2, Ephesians 6, Colossians 3, James 2, 1 Peter 1. We're told over and over that God is not a respecter of persons. In James 2, he furthermore even we're told that being a respecter of persons is a sinful act. So if God chose me to be a Christian and John Doe to burn in hell, then you're saying God sins. And we know that that's not the case, right? God does not sin. God is not a respecter of persons. He puts his word out there for each and every one of us. In the Old Testament, again, when you were looking at these individuals, David, Benjamin, Moses, so forth and so on, he chose each of these individuals for a specific task within a group of individuals. He chose the Israelites to bring Jesus into the world. And each of one of these individuals throughout that lineage was in order to bring Christ into the world. And he chose them for specific things. Uh, okay. Now, if we look in a lot of people, which is where I thought you were going to go as well, want to look at like Ephesians 1, Romans 8, and talk about predestination. And a lot of times we look at ourselves in those scriptures and think, well, God's predestined me for one place or the other. But the predestination here is not on individuals, but the predestination is on groups. Okay, and in John 5:29, we can see what those groups are. And shall come forth they that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. That is the predestination. We can follow after God and go to heaven. We can not follow after God and follow the world and go to hell. That is the predestination. Either you follow heaven. You don't follow, hell. It's two predetermined areas based on the decisions that we make in our life. Um, so, and I want to go one more verse here. I want to read 2 Peter 3:9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any, should perish. Okay? He's not willing that any should perish. Anybody, not a single soul, but that everybody, without a doubt, that all should come to repentance. He is long-suffering, he is waiting, and he is not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. God chooses each and every individual that has ever walked this earth to come to him. He has made his word available at some point in their life. If they have ever come to the age of accountability, so to speak, the ability to know the difference, to know right and wrong, once you have that ability, I fully believe that God has made himself available to everyone. And it's our choice whether or not we choose that. And the reason I believe that is because God is not willing that any should perish. Okay? He is not willing that any should perish, but that each and every one of us would come to repentance. So keep that in mind. Keep studying.